welcome back to your favorite Pre-Calculus 1 Expanded course. Going to take a look at multiplying polynomials here. So let's review this. We're using our rules like a to the n times a to the n is a to the n plus n, right? Notice we have a 2 and a 7. And by the way, you can multiply anything. You don't have to have like terms. Like terms are only for adding and subtracting. When you're multiplying, you can multiply anything. So you multiply the 2 and 7, no problem. And then you've got the x to the third times x to the seventh. That means you got 3 plus 7. I got 10 of those, right? So we got 14x to the 10th. We can go ahead and multiply these. And as long as they're negative 4 times negative 7, so I got 28. I got x to the 7, x to the third. So x to the 7 plus 3. So we're going to have 10 of those. And then notice the y to the third, y to the sixth. So we're going to have 9 of those y's. So I got 28, x to the 10, y to the 9th. Let's go ahead and do one with the distributive property there. So I'm going to multiply the 11x times the x squared, and then the 11x times positive 3x, and then the 11x times that 7. So it looks like we have 11x to the third. That'll be 3 x's there. And then we got 33. X times x will give us x squared. And then finally 11 times 7. That'll give us the 77x on that. Make sure there's no terms to combine. Doesn't look like we have any like terms there, so we're going to leave it alone. Go ahead and use that distributive property again, and we'll have you guys pause the video and try that last one there. So we got 3x squared times 2x to the third. I got a 3x squared times that 3x. I got a 3x squared times that negative 7. Then here I've got a minus 2x to the third times x squared minus 2x to the third times negative 5. So it looks like we have 6x to the fifth. X squared x to the third gives us x to the fifth. 3 times 3 here gives us a 9. X squared times x, that'll give us 3 x's. 3 times negative 7, I got minus 21x squared. And then I got a minus 2x to the third, x to the squared, that'd be x to the fifth. And then negative 2 times negative 5, I got a positive 10x to the third. Let's see if we have any like terms. 6x to the fifth minus 2x to the fifth would give us 4x to the fifth. 9x to the third plus 10x to the third would give us 19x to the third minus 21x squared. Looks like our loner on that one. Okay, good time to pause the video. Try that next problem. Sure, we'll end up with that negative 30x to the third, y to the 14th, and pause the video if you want to try that next one as well. Go ahead and check yourself on those two. And then let's get into the FOIL method now. This is just an acronym to help you remember how you multiply two binomials. It's really a distributive property where you're taking this first one. Here's the first x times x. And then we're going to do the outer. That's the outer one. Then we're going to do the inner two, and then we're going to do the last two. But notice the x is distributed to both, as well as that positive 7 is distributed to both, right? So FOIL method is just really the distributed method when you're foiling it with two binomials, right? So let's go ahead and do the first. Then we'll do the outer, then we'll do the inner, and then we'll do the last. The first is the x times the x. The x and the x, right? I did that first, x squared. And then we're going to do the outer. So that's the x times that negative 4. That's the outer. X times negative 4. X times negative 4. Then we're going to do the inner. So that's the 7 times the x there in yellow. There's our inner, 7 times x. And then we'll do our last, which is the 7 times the negative 4. That'll be our last two. FOIL, first, outer, inner, last. So we've got x squared plus a negative 4x plus a 7x plus a negative 28. So x squared minus 4x plus 7x minus 28. Make sure you combine any like terms that you have. You do have some like terms here. Negative 4x plus 7x would give us a positive 3x. And that's the FOIL method. All right, let's go ahead and use this FOIL method a bunch of times here. Practice this. So we got 3x times x. That's the first. Now we do the outer. 3x times that 6. Now we're going to do the inner. negative 4 times the x, plus, now we're going to do the last, negative 4 times 6. So we got 3x squared plus 18x plus a negative 4x, so minus 4x. Right? And then plus a negative 24, so minus 24. Make sure you combine any like terms. And there's that one. Let's go to some with a couple different variables. We got x times x, x squared. X times negative 13y, that's a negative 13xy. Y times x, write that in alphabetical order, that's xy. And finally, y times a negative 13y, that's a negative 13y squared. Any like terms? Yes, negative 13xy plus an xy would give us a negative 12xy. Now this next one is also the FOIL method, but it's given as x minus 10 quantity squared. That means you got two of these x minus 10s, right? So again, you got to FOIL that thing. You get two of those x minus 10s, x minus 10 quantity squared. So we got x times x, x squared. We have x times negative 10, negative 10x. We got negative 10 times x, negative 10x. And we got negative 10 times negative 10 is a positive 100. Make sure you combine your like terms there. And that's what x minus 10 quantity squared ends up being. And you got a bunch of you try problems now. If you want to pause the video on this next. To really practice this FOIL method, here's your 4 I want you to try. And then we'll put the solutions up if you want to pause the video. Go ahead and check your work on those. First two there. You should get 2x squared minus 9x minus 110. You should get 30x, negative 3x squared plus 20x minus 32. Pause the video if you need to. There's the next two there. Again, pause the video if you need to. And that brings us to now we're going to try multiplying binomials with a trinomial. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take the x plus 7 times that the x squared minus 4x plus 7. So in other words, x plus 7 is being multiplied by x squared. X plus 7 is being multiplied by negative 4x. X plus 7 is being multiplied by 7. And so on, and then you'll distribute. So I just like to take the x through to everybody first, and then I like to take my 7 through to everybody after. So I've got x times x squared, that's x to the third. Then I have x times that negative 4x is a negative 4x squared. Then I have x times 7, which is 7x. And then in red, now I'm going to take the 7 through. 7 times x squared, 7x squared. 7 times negative 4x, negative 28x. 7 times a positive 7, 49. And then I'm just going to go ahead and combine like terms. X to the third is a loner, but I do have a negative 4x squared plus 7x squared, which would give me a 3x squared. I have a 7x minus 28x is a minus 21x. And then it looks like I have a loner 49 there at the end. If you want to, you can pause the video on this next one. We do the same thing here. I'm going to take that black one through, then take the negative 5 through there. So we got 4x times x squared is a 4x to the third. 4x times negative 4x, negative 16x squared. 4x times 6, 24x. Now I'm going to take the negative 5 through. Negative 5 times x squared, negative 5x squared. Negative 5 times negative 4x is a positive 20x. Negative 5 times 6 is a negative 30. We're going to go ahead and combine any like terms. Looks like that's the only cubic. I have negative 16 minus 5 is a negative 21x squared. I got 24 plus 20 is 44x. And then looks like that constant's also a loner there at the end. So we end up with 4x cubed minus 21x squared. It's 44x minus 30. Now let's do it with a binomial that is quantity cubed. So x minus 6 quantity cubed. What that means is you have 3 of these x minus 6. Okay, this is not x to the third minus 6 to the third. Sometimes students get that mixed up. This is 3 of those x minus 6's being multiplied. So what I like to do is I like to go ahead and FOIL those two first. So I got x squared minus 6x minus 6x. Negative 6 times negative 6 plus 36. I'm going to combine those. Remember, I still have an x minus 6 over here. So let me combine those like terms. So I get x squared minus 12x plus 36. That's being multiplied by x minus 6. Now I'm going to take that x through to everybody, and then I'll take that negative 6 through to everybody. Oops. I'm going to do green here. Alright, so I got x times x squared, x to the third, minus 12x squared, plus 36x. Now I'm in green. Let me take the minus 6 through. So I have negative 6x squared plus 72x. 6 times 36, what is that? 216 minus 216, right? And by the way, you could, instead of doing the binomial, each of those terms times the trinomial, you could also take each of the x squared through to both of those, then the minus 12x through to both of those, then the 36 through to both of those, and you'd get the same thing. But let's go ahead and clean this up. X to the third, I got a minus 12x squared minus 6x squared is a minus 18x squared. I got 36 plus 72, so that's 108. And then a minus 216 at the end there. We'll go ahead and take that x through to each of those. And then we'll go ahead and take the, let's do it in orange this time. Take that, whoops, it's not orange. Take the y through to each of those. So we get x times 8x squared. 1x times 8x squared, 8x to the third. 1x times negative 5xy, that'd be a negative 5x squared y. And then x times 7y squared is a 7xy squared. And again, if you need to write that out, maybe you need to write this step out. There's nothing wrong with that, especially if you're rusty with this stuff. All right, that's what we just did. And now we're going to do the orange one. So now I got y times 8x squared is in 8x squared y. I got y times negative 5xy is in negative 5xy squared. And a y times a 7y squared is a 7y to the third. And again, that is just a y times x squared. That's a y times negative 5xy is what we did. And then we did the y times 7y squared if you're writing that out, all right? So, all right, any like terms? Well, 8x to the third is a loner, it looks like. Do I have any other x squared y's? There's an x squared y. There's another x squared y. Negative 5 plus 8 is a positive 3x squared y. How about 7xy squared? Any other xy squared? There's another one. 7 minus 5 is 2xy squared. And then finally, it looks like this 7y cubed at the end is just a loner. No other y cubes. Now, how about, well, this wouldn't be any fun if we didn't do a trinomial with another trinomial, right? So let's take this x through first. Then I'm going to do in, how about in red, I'm going to take the x through, and then I'm going to do in green, I'm going to take that one through. So x squared times 2x squared, I got 2x to the fourth, x squared times 4x, I got 8x to the third, x squared times negative 3 is a negative 3x squared. Now in red, I'm going to take the 8x through. I got a 16x to the third, I got a 32x squared, I got a minus 24x, and finally with the negative 7 at the end, negative 7 times 2x squared, negative 14x squared, minus 28x, and plus 21. And now I'm looking for any like terms. This 2x to the fourth is a loner, it looks like. I've got an 8x cubed and a 16x cubed. I think that's my only x cubes there, so I have 24x cubed. I have a negative 3x squared plus 32 minus 14. 15x squared. Now I've got minus 24 minus 28, so 24 and 28 gives negative 52x, and then just the constant 21 at the end of that. And that leaves us with 4 of these U-tria problems, so if you want to pause the video, each of these would be great. Should get that. Again, you're taking a 3x through, and you're taking a minus 4 through. Here you go. You'll do those two first, combine them, then take the x plus 2 through. So you'll end up with x to the third plus 6x squared plus 12x plus 8 Here you'll end up with 9x cubed plus 7x squared y plus 3xy squared plus 5y cubed. And finally, on this last u-triad problem, you'll end up with 4x to the 4 plus 2x cubed minus 52x squared plus 46x plus 36. Thanks so much for watching. Taking notes. We'll see you next time.